So I'm here with Darcy. Hi, Darcy.
Hi.
Thanks so much for coming in and agreeing to participate in this project. So as you know, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and please answer them in any way that you like. How old are you?
39.
And do you have a political orientation?
Officially independent, but probably lean towards liberal democratic bent.
Okay. And how about religion? Do you have a religion or a religious affiliation?
I don't. I consider myself more spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about a personal relationship with God to me, more than following an organized religion.
Okay. And where are we?
At Buffalo Yoga.
And this is your studio?
Yes.
Wonderful. What's your job title here?
I'd say director of Buffalo Yoga, but I instruct a lot, so yoga instructor is also a title that I would use.
And you're the owner as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you view your role in the community as?
I would say this, is that I created Buffalo Yoga with the intention of enhancing personal lives and people's lives, but also the community. I've had this intention or mission to just bring people around or bring people together around just common ways of thinking, like ways of thinking.
Great, great. So can you talk about, Darcy, your relationship with your local indie community?
My personal relationship is that I really try to support everything local. I live downtown. I live on the Elmwood Strip in Buffalo, which is a very popular strip for just mom and pop stores, and I try to use those stores whenever possible, and I try to avoid, using the big corporate companies, just because I think it's really important to support each other. I'm a small business owner as well, and so I appreciate it when people support me too.
Mm-hmm. Great. This one's kind of fun.
Okay.
So if your local indie community were an animal, what animal would it be and why? And Buffalo is not an acceptable answer for these interviews.
Buffalo's the easy answer. What would it be? If our community was an animal, what would it be? I'm going to go the easy route, maybe. I would think dog right away. Simply because I think of the loyalty. I think that, especially in the city limits, I think that there's a lot of loyalty amongst people here. I think people feel really proud of their community, and I think we all try to support each other. So I do sense loyalty amongst the community, amongst people in the community.
And what's more loyal than a dog?
Yeah, right?
So can you talk about one independent local business that if it were no longer here, you and your community would miss the most?
I think for me, it's kind of an obvious answer. It would be the Lexington Food Co-op. They specialize in whole foods, organic foods, healthy foods, and I can't imagine not having that here.
Great. So, you're an entrepreneur. You opened Buffalo Yoga. How long have you been in business?
It's been almost 6 years.
Great. Congratulations.
Thanks.
So, I'm talking to a lot of different people through this project, and some are entrepreneurs in the business world and elsewhere. But really the common thread is that everyone's an organizer, and they organize the community. So what one lesson or piece of advice could you share with the folks who might interact with this project from your life as an entrepreneur and organizer?
I need to think about that. I would say that in opening, I had this idea that it would all come together a little easier than it did. And I think what I've learned is that my ideas, although they may have been good ideas, is that it's been a lot of trial and error, so it can be a bit exhausting and tiring initially. And I think that you kind of have to have that in mind the first few years, is that you are going to be playing this trial and error game and see what works, see what doesn't work, pay attention to results, try to capture the data, which I'm not so good at times, because I think it matters. Having that information really helps in making decisions going forward.
Great. Last question.
Okay.
So you know about this project. We talked about it. We met at a wonderful place last night with Amy at what's called Allen Hardware?
Allen Street Hardware.
Allen Street Hardware, a former hardware store now turned into a great bar.
Yes.
And so do you have a message that you'd like to share with anyone or any organization that might interact with this project?
say, you might have to remind me too of like exactly where. I know you mentioned the website.
Sure. Well, I mean, we're telling the story of people building community across the country.
So it's all around this local first kind of idea, right?
Yeah.
A message to people like participating in the project, or more people that would just
people that would interact with it, like either participating or as an observer, or so either someone in I don't know, Santa Fe might run a yoga studio, and they may interact with this project because they find out about it through their local First Network or their Independent Business Alliance, and they'll see you and they'll hear you and they'll read your works, and so, but it may be someone completely different, someone in a nonprofit.
I would say that my message is that, like, I came across Buffalo First by chance. They called me and they said, hey, we're doing this project at UB, our University of Buffalo, local university. And the membership was so inexpensive that they convinced me because it was $50 that first year to join, and they were just trying to get it off the ground. I liked the ideas, but I didn't really know fully what they were talking about. So I got kind of involved in a very random way, in a way. But I think that communities like this, Buffalo First, any kind of local first type of organization, they've done so much to help promote my business as part of this community. And I guess what I realized is that I couldn't have done that on my own. So, eventually they raised their memberships, and, it's been a little more costly to be part of the organization, but it's been so worth it. Just because I think that those dollars pooled together have done more for everybody than we could have done for ourselves individually.